Namaskar. When was the last time you spent a weekend simply enjoying, learning, and growing? Vedanta Vision invites you to unplug to upgrade, a lively 2-day retreat with Jayaji in the serene surroundings of Lonavala. On 28th and 29th March, spend the weekend with like minded people, enjoying insightful conversations, a nature walk, and plenty of laughter. The retreat will be held at Rhythm Resort, a charming venue that offers the perfect space to relax, connect, and recharge. Step away from routine and return energized. For details and registration, please click the link in the description box. Join Jayaji's WhatsApp community to receive updates on all activities in your city. Now let us continue chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita.
सहनाववतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः.
It's a poetic way of saying. It really doesn't mean that God is playing hide and seek. It actually is that you are playing hide and seek with God. You don't see the manifestation and you miss it. So, what it basically means is it's not obvious, it's not in your face. What you see is physical things, material things, What you see is suffering, you see pairs of opposites. You don't see the play of the divine behind all this. If you had seen that, then all that is happening on the surface would not have affected you. Why are you getting affected? Because you don't see anything else. So you have to have that penetrating power to look beyond the obvious. It's like a mother, if the child gets frustrated because of exams or whatever, and the mother is nagging the child says, "I hate you." Now, does she take that literally or go away, don't bother me? She doesn't take it to heart because she understands what's happening behind. Same thing, wherever there is love, where there is understanding, where there is this perception of the beauty behind everything, then you don't get affected. So we were on this trend of thought where we look at instances where if the person had known earlier, the person would have made different choices, would have made different decisions. The life of the person would have taken a different course altogether, a happier course. You see, in the field of sport, music, so what it is having mere talent is not enough. Because there are extraordinarily talented people who have failed in life. Like, for instance, Vinod Kamble versus Sachin Tendulkar. He was, when they both started, he was considered more talented than Sachin Tendulkar. And see where their lives went, completely differently. So, if only he had known the importance of using the intellect in guiding your life's actions, he would have been a different person today. You see, what happens is, a poor man has limited options. So he doesn't need the intellect that much. But as you get richer and more and more resources are available to you, it becomes imperative that you learn how to use the intellect, that you develop the intellect. Otherwise, what is a blessing becomes a curse. What's his name? Maradona. You've heard of him? Outstanding footballer, extremely talented, and he had excelled. But he just went down the tube and killed himself, literally. So what is the difference between Maradona and Messi, for instance? What is the difference between Elvis Presley and Lata Mangeshkar? Both musicians. One went upwards, the other just destroyed himself. What's the difference between Hansi Cronje and any outstanding cricketer? He was the South African captain, an outstanding player, but he just got caught in match fixing, and that's it. So we all must understand, learn from this example, all these examples, that it's not enough to be merely talented. You have to use your intellect, you have to develop that intellect to be able to make the right choices. See, take the example of this, what's his name? What Samson? Sanju Samson. Okay? For years he's been on the team but sitting on the sidelines. So he's selected in the team, but he doesn't get to play cricket. Anybody else would have been disappointed, given up. I know quite a few people who've just given up. But he stood by it, stuck to it. And he said, I got an excellent opportunity to just sit and watch the greats. I watched Virat Kohli, I watched Rohit, so many others. And you see, that is the thing. If you use your intellect and you have a positive outlook and you're committed to what you're doing, you don't treat anything as a failure. You treat failures as stepping stones, and then you must have the patience. Success never comes overnight for anybody. You take the greats. Walt Disney was thrown out of a job because they considered him not creative enough. It's a joke. And then he went on to establish one of the most fantastic entertainment companies in the world. So, don't give up. But by the same token, you must use whatever talent you have. Now, between talent and hard work and intellect, I would say intellect is far greater. Because even if you are below the line in terms of talent, you can always make it up with hard work. But you may be a prodigy, but zero intellect, you're finished. And this, if only he had known, all these people, if only they had known verse 63 of chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Buddhi nashat pranashyati. Without intellect, you will be destroyed. Categorical statement. And you see it panning out in life. And where are we? Can you with all honesty say that I do have a strong intellect? Enough to control the vagaries of the mind and the urges of the senses? No. The fact that we are okay simply means that we did not have the resources to destroy ourselves. Or parental control or something like that. Or the system did not allow it. Like in India, when we were kids, my generation was kids, there were only 2 cars available. Fiat and Ambassador. So between the two, there is not much to choose from. Both were junk. there were only limited options available to us. So the opportunities for self-destruction were limited. Now that's not the case. You have, the world is there, the world is your oyster. So with improvements in technology, with technological development, it becomes all the more important that you have your intellect in place. There's a study made of kids, a huge study made of kids of this generation versus 2 generations back. That's my generation. And you know what they've discovered? That mental health issues, problems, are to the extent of 60% in the present generation. Inability to have relationships, and whatever relationships they have are breaking, so on and so forth. Stress, anxiety, all of this, much higher compared to the older generation, where they had but less, 20 odd percent. Why? Do you know why? Why? Social media, internet, all of this. Because of which there is no interpersonal relationships. You know, nowadays you find kids in school, they go to school, they come back, they rush to tuition, come back, go to sleep, next morning again the same routine. They never interact with each other. And I was thinking, in our time, we ran home, refreshed ourselves, had whatever we had to have, refreshments, and out we would go to meet with friends and be out till for a few hours and then come home and have dinner. Today, in your experience, do you know any kid who goes and meets with friends on a weekday? No. What are they doing? Jumping from one tuition to another. Which means, what are they doing in school? There is no teaching. And then there is this rush for marks. And do you know what? The higher the marks they get, the more unstable they are because of this pressure. I hear horror stories of mothers throwing the cell phone at the child, at actual physical violence, just because the child has got 90% and not 97%. You know, why I am saying this is to get it across to you the absolute urgency of learning Vedanta. This is no longer an option, it is a necessity. And what are we doing about it? Sweet nothing. Particularly the class members. I don't know what it is with you guys. You come, arey, it's free anyway. So you sit and you go. There is no urge to think of, just think, what can I do to spread this knowledge? There are so many things you can do. You can, if you need to give a gift to someone, you can give a book. The next time you come, next Wednesday when you come, bring a friend along. Bring a relative along. This much you can do. How many friends do you have? Out of all those, you can't think of one person that you can bring. There is that apathy among us because there is no awareness of the urgency of the matter. And you know what? I'm not saying it because I want more people coming here, please. I don't care. It's not that, I'm using the wrong word. It's not that I don't care. It doesn't matter to me. My work is to look at how best I can present this knowledge to whoever comes. And it really doesn't matter how many people come. But it is for you. You must have that service mindedness. And it's no skin off your back. You don't have to pay any money. You don't have to go out of your way. You just have to send a WhatsApp message. That much you can't do. Or make a call. And you will do it if you understand the importance of the subject. This is not like going to a temple. That you'll do. This is not like going on pilgrimage. This is not like doing a holy puja or whatever it is that you do. It is absolutely essential, and I see a whole generation being a write-off. I see people in their 20s and 30s. When I see people getting married, my heart is in my mouth because I'm not sure how long that marriage is going to last. Because the more you spend on that wedding, chances are it will break faster. It's not just about spending money. It's about, have you given your child the strength to meet with life's obstacles, challenges? It's not just about creating a fanciful world for 4 or 5 days. What does your child do after that? There is no thinking. And when I give examples like this, these are extreme examples, yes. But all of us have made mistakes. You think back in your life to one major mistake you have made. Have we not made mistakes? For which we suffered? Why did you make that mistake? Why did you make that choice? Because you did not know. I don't know, you may be wiser, but I have certainly made mistakes which I have regretted, and I have paid a heavy price for it. If I had known these certain things, I would never have made those choices. Right? So, that missionary spirit must be there to prevent yourself from suffering more, from helping others to not make the same mistakes, so that they don't suffer. There is, somewhere, some thought, some inspiration, something must click. Otherwise we are like, I don't know why we are coming here. Anyway, so let's move with verse 15.
युञ्जन्नेवं सदात्मानं योगी नियतमानसः शान्तिं निर्वाणपरमां मत्संस्थामधिगच्छति.
Thus the yogi of subdued mind, ever united to the self, obtains the peace residing in me, which ends in nirvana realization. So we are on the 6th chapter, don't forget that. And it's titled Dhyana Yoga, the yoga of meditation. Now, here is a mind that has been prepared right from chapter 2 onwards. So, chapter 2 onwards means this is where we are. Full of desires, full of selfishness, full of greed, full of passion, full of all of this. And what is he talking about? A mind that is well prepared, niyata manasa, well controlled mind. So there are differences. Don't compare it with yourself. So what is he saying? The first word that he uses, which is of grave importance to us, is sada. Sada means constantly. You know, whatever it is that you want to achieve in life, not necessarily spiritual, anything. You want to become a billionaire, there must be this constancy of thought. You want to play in the Wimbledon, there must be this constancy. You know what this constancy is? In this movie, The Swimmers, there are these two sisters, Syrian sister refugees. The father helps them to escape as refugees because they have nothing to look forward to in Syria, and they go to Germany. Now this younger one is a swimmer. Now as a refugee, where are you going to get a swimming pool to swim in? But at the slightest opportunity she gets, she is exercising, she is running, she is doing something or the. So even when she is not swimming, she is constantly, consistently, persistently thinking of swimming. And then finally when they get to Germany, she finds a pool and she goes to the coach there and says, I want to participate in the Olympics. The guy nearly laughs at her. And she says, but wait, don't laugh. You watch my performance. Just watch me swim. And this is the first time that she is swimming after a long time, because it took them time to come from Syria to Germany. He watches her and he is aghast. His jaw drops. He understands that here is a girl, young girl, who can win the Olympics. Now, how did she get there? She had no pool, she didn't practice, nothing. Just in her mind, constant thinking. This is it, friends. It's not what you do that matters. It's what you're thinking of that matters. That's why we tell people, you think thin, you will become thin. I know people who have weighed 90 kilos and above, and in a matter of 3 months have lost 30 kilos. Another young boy in Pune, he was nice and roly-poly, had a huge appetite. I used to call him Durvasa. He could eat anything, any large quantities. Suddenly he decided, I want to lose weight, and again lost 30 kilos. He used to cycle 1 hour a day, he went on a strict diet, he did all kinds of things, and before you knew it, he had shrunk. So how does this happen? Constant thinking. So the thinking has started long before he actually started physically. You know? So therefore, constantly you must think, fix a goal, maintain that goal in your mind, and you must breathe that goal, you must sleep. Even when you are sleeping, you must think of that. Dream about it, everything. Then by God you'll achieve it. So sometimes you wonder, I'm working so hard and nothing happens. Rubbish, you're working hard. What is working hard? Constancy of thought. And then automatically your actions follow suit. So, and the most important thing is, shut out all negative thought. Don't look at what others are doing or not doing. Just take a look at yourself. If at all you observe what others are doing, you must learn from it. If it's a positive example, emulate that. If it's a negative example, say, this is something I should not do. Niyata manasaha, controlled mind. The yogi of subdued mind. There are 2 ways of subduing the mind. One, use the intellect to guide the mind. Number 2, entertain a higher desire. So naturally you don't desire the lower things. Like for instance, once you develop a strong desire to be fit, physically fit, then you develop a actual disgust for junk food. The very thought of a burger puts you off. So that's how it happens. The mind is subdued and obtains peace. So as long as the mind is extroverted, looking outward, you will always be agitated. The moment you turn inward, or to the extent you turn inward, you are happy. And keep going till you hit Atman, infinite bliss, Nirvana. So you have to see where you are. Shantim Nirvana Paramam. It's a peace that ends in supreme bliss. But for now, see, come back to our level. You have desires, right? Now you can't say, okay, I will not fulfill those desires, which is what the majority of spiritual aspirants do. So they say, oh, I've turned spiritual. I can't eat good food. I can't go watch movies. I can't shop. I can't wear good clothes. I mean, who wants you to become a caricature? Enjoy life. Says who? Krishna tells Arjuna in the 11th chapter. So if you want validation, here it is. Go out and enjoy life, but with the intellect, so that you don't destroy yourself. Even in the Mundaka Upanishad, which is like the highest, Upanishads are the highest source of knowledge, he refers to the student as a great householder. Great householder means what? One who has experienced life. You can't say, oh, I don't know what a party is like. You're a fool, man. Go party. I don't know what a vacation is like. Enjoy life. Then you can understand the futility of worldly pursuits. If you have never experienced it, then you will have the suspicion that maybe happiness is in a party. Maybe happiness is in alcohol. Maybe happiness is in this, that and the other. You should not. If you are a mature person who's ready, fit for the spiritual path, you must have experienced it all. Now don't go drinking, please. Don't abuse it. I mean, just normal experience of worldly life, you must have. Then it's easy to understand the futility of worldly pursuits. Okay? That's called the middle path. Not extreme denial, not extreme indulgence, middle path. Next verse 16.
नात्यश्नतस्तु योगोऽस्ति न चैकान्तमनश्नतः न चाति स्वप्नशीलस्य जाग्रतो नैव चार्जुन.
O Arjuna, yoga is not for one who eats too much or not at all, nor is it for one who sleeps or keeps awake in excess. So with this verse, we enter the prerequisites for meditation, which is he gives the disqualifications. Who is disqualified? One who eats too much or too little. Now in life you see the two extremes, right? Either a person just goes out and indulges or doesn't eat at all. I know women across the world who only nibble, meaning they're only using their insides, they never use their molars, they don't chew food. They hardly ever eat. Now when you do that, for some reason that you would want to be slim and fit and attractive and all of that, it's not even fit, slim, attractive. You know what's happening? You have desires. You're a foodie, you like food, but you're controlling at the physical level. Such a person is a hypocrite, says Krishna in the 3rd chapter of the Gita. So you know what happens? Frustration builds up in you. Such people are ill-tempered. They're snapping at people because there's frustration. So you don't eat too much, not too little. Same thing with sleep. Now, when he talks of food, he's not literally talking about food, he's talking about contact with the world. So your contact with the world should not be excessive. It's not that you're partying every day, you're going out every day, you're watching movies every day, things like that. Nor should it be too little, that you have no contact at all. Then you get frustrated. Sleep is the duration of your sleep, duration of the contact that you have. If you sleep too much, you're a tamasic person. You understand sattva, rajas, tamas? If you don't sleep at all, you're a rajasic person because your mind is full of desires, ambitions. It doesn't let you sleep. If your sleep is regulated, and it's such a, it's the greatest blessing of life. If you're able to sleep, your head touches the pillow and you're off to sleep. And you wake up naturally within 7 hours or whatever you need. You feel refreshed, you wake up refreshed. So these are the basic qualifications you must follow, otherwise you're not fit for meditation. And look at the detail he is going into. It's like a rocket taking off into space. Every little aspect of it must be examined, otherwise that thing will come back or crash. All the tragedies that have taken place are because one little detail has been overlooked. So meditation is an extremely subtle but powerful exercise. And so before you embark on it, you have to fine-tune every aspect of your personality. Next verse, 17.
युक्ताहार विहारस्य युक्तचेष्टस्य कर्मसु युक्तस्वप्नावबोधस्य योगो भवति दुःखः.
Yoga destroys the misery of one balanced in eating and leisure, moderate in work, temperate in sleep and wakefulness. So you see, he's constantly talking about the middle path, no extremes. Ahara, when he says eating food, is receipt from the world. Whatever, not just food. Whatever you see, hear, smell, taste and touch is ahara. Then vihara is reaction at the level of the mind and intellect. So whenever a stimulus enters you, it is transmitted to the mind where there is a reaction between the stimulus and the desires that you have at the level of the mind and intellect. And karma means response, action back into the world. All three must be examined carefully. And when the three are balanced, you're not just in good health, your mind is also balanced. It's at peace. You see, a person with hyperacidity, that nowadays everyone is having acidity problems, his mind is not at peace because your gut is inflamed. Or a person who has, all kinds of irregularities in their life. There are people, in the United States, they've got data that on an average, people do not sleep for more than 3 hours a day. That is not enough. Minimum a person needs is 6 hours, anywhere between 6 to 8 hours. So if your mind is calm, you need less sleep. If your mind is agitated, you need more sleep. But between 6 and 8 hours, a normal adult, if you don't have that, your mind is going to be agitated, disturbed. So all of this needs to be taken into account. 18.
यदा विनियतं चित्तम् आत्मन्येवावतिष्ठते निःस्पृहः सर्वकामेभ्यः युक्त इत्युच्यते तदा.
One is said to be a yukta. See, everywhere when he speaks of yoga, it is not doing pranayam and asanas, please. It goes to the very root. Yoga comes from the root yuja, which means to join. So anyone who is engaged in the endeavor of joining back with your original self is said to be a yogi, and the practice is called yoga. So here he says, one is said to be a yukta, means merged with the self, when the completely restrained mind is fixed on the self alone, free from craving for all objects of desire. So who is a yukta? Who is a true spiritual person? One whose mind is completely restrained. How do you restrain the mind? With the intellect. So now in your experience, you must have observed that when the desire is not strong enough, it is easy to control. Let's say you have no desire for South Indian food, and you hear, now it's all over in the news, that a new South Indian restaurant has opened at Churchgate, Eros, and is famous. What will happen to you? Internally, your needle remains stable. It doesn't shift. Why? You have no desire for it. But you hear that a Korean restaurant has opened in Bandra. You sitting in South Bombay will go all the way there. So, and you can't control that. So for you to control the mind, there must be two things. Intellect must be strong and mind must be free from desire. You understand? I say, what's the big deal? There are people standing in a queue to go to that restaurant. I will not stand in a queue for any kind of food. It's not worth it. So anyway, mind restrained. How does the mind get restrained when you pick up a higher desire? Highest desire is self-realization. Therefore, he says, fixed mind is fixed on the self. But if you can't visualize that, most of us can't, fix some higher desire. Like a musician who's dedicated to music. Do you know that? A good singer is very particular about the kind of food he eats. He doesn't eat spicy food, doesn't eat oily food, doesn't eat sour food. Restricted. A person dedicated to a sport. Like Virat Kohli says, I eat the same food every day, all the time. I don't care. And it's like boiled food. Why? Because the mind is fixed on the goal. The goal is cricket. Here the goal is music. So you must have a goal. What is your goal in life? High the goal is, it's easier for the mind to be dedicated to it and fixed on that goal. I've seen outstanding dancers, one of the, in her time, the best Bharatanatyam dancer in India. and both of us were invited to Thailand for some conference. And I saw with my own eyes, she ate very sparsely. Her whole daily schedule was very disciplined. So she was hardly seen. But then in the evening when she came to give a performance, oh my God, she just came alive. So that's what it is. And you can be fixed on the goal when you're relatively free from desire for the world. So you must have experienced the futility of a good, you've eaten Chinese food, you've eaten Japanese food, you've eaten, what is it called? All kinds of names. And you understand it's no big deal. So that's why we say you must have had the experience. Now please don't go running to a Japanese restaurant. It's not about, don't take it literally. You must have some experience of the world. If you're a complete novice and you haven't experienced anything in the world, then it's difficult to have that conviction that worldly things don't give you happiness. And all of us have that experience, not as if we were born in the Himalayas. We're born here in Mumbai, whether you like it or not, you have experiences of that much is enough. And then your mind awakens to a higher goal, to your talent. Then you understand that this is what I want to do in my life. Like maybe win the Olympics or become an outstanding musician or whatever it is. That concept of excellence must be there in us. You can't say to yourself, I will be an ordinary person. I'll be an ordinary lawyer. I'll be an ordinary chartered accountant. I'll be an ordinary sports person. Club cricket I'll play. You can't be content with that. You must aspire for better things. And this must be instilled from childhood. I remember my grandfather used to tell all the grandchildren, you must be the best in the world. And you know what? Among our cousins, there are quite a few have excelled in their field. I don't know about being the best in the world, but they've achieved something. Because that thought was instilled in our minds right from birth onwards. He used to tell me in like the 1950s, where women were not given opportunities in many fields. He used to say, don't let the fact that you're a girl come in the way of your excellence. You can do it and you must aspire for it. So you get that, And not to impress the world, but just within yourself, you have that desire for perfection. So whatever you do, there is that urge to be perfect at it. And so even in school, if you had to draw lines on a blank paper, I never just drew blanks. I used to measure the right distance so that the lines were not crooked. It starts from there, from the ridiculous to the sublime. But now I see, it's okay, it doesn't matter. No, it matters. Because your work is a reflection of your personality. And if you accept mistakes and errors and it doesn't bother you, then there's something wrong. Simple things if you forget, like the other day, I forgot something and I felt bad about it. So somebody was telling me, it's okay, it doesn't matter. I said, no, it matters. Because how did I forget? And I make sure that I don't forget it in future. That yearning for becoming better must be there. Otherwise you won't improve. You just live and see, the cockroaches also are born, they live, they procreate, they die. What are you doing that is different from that? If you develop in the spiritual way, you will understand that you can live up to a certain standard of perfection And the reality of life is now, it's not the Indian culture. Indian culture is perfectionist. What is happening now is this chalta hai attitude, I agree. So you understand it is there and you try your best to inspire your team. Like say you have a team of 4 people, you try your best to inspire your team and you make sure that you supervise what they do so that mistakes and errors don't go out to clients. That is possible. But the whole thing rests in how agitated you are mentally. If you have the right attitude, you don't get agitated because you accept that this is the reality. But you can make up for it. And then over time, they also get inspired because they see how dedicated you are to your profession. And they also change. And you see, it's like you attract like-minded people. So if you are a perfectionist, you attract other perfectionists, other people who feel the same way. It's true in any field, in the legal field, in architecture, in any field. So you should build a reputation in such a way that people will say, oh, if it comes from you, it has to be good. Next verse.
यथा दीपो निवातस्थः नेङ्गते सोपमा स्मृता योगिनो यतचित्तस्य युञ्जतो योगमात्मनः.
The simile, as a lamp in a windless place does not waver, is likened to a yogi with controlled mind practicing yoga, union with self. So with this verse, we enter the next topic of this chapter, control calms the mind, verses 19 to 24. So he compares the mind with a lamp and the comparison is beautiful. See, the flame he likens to the mind. Now when the flame is shaking because of wind or anything, there is no light. It's only when the flame is steady that there is light. Similarly, when the mind is calm, there is knowledge. You have access to your own knowledge. When the mind is disturbed, agitated, you have no access to your own mind. And this is something that is never taught anywhere. Like, now is the exam time. All kinds of exams are happening. No teacher, no parent, no school, no educational system guides the student on how to keep the mind calm. Okay? So students go well prepared. And sometimes the best student performs badly, not because the student does not know, simply because mind is agitated. Will I get it? Won't I get it? So the role of the teacher, the role of the parent is to simply say, just chill. Go as if you are going to normal school. And now what can you do? If you know it, you will answer. If you don't know it, there is nothing in the world that's going to help you. So you might as well be calm. Whatever you know, present it to the best of your ability. Finished, that's it. I remember when I was in college, we had a girl with us who from school onwards to university used to max the paper in maths. Right? Final year of a degree exam, and all of us, if we had a problem, we would go to her and she would painstakingly explain. Final exam, you know what happened? She failed, we did well. She actually failed the exam. It was unbelievable. Why? Mind was agitated. So luckily in those days, We got an opportunity to do the exam in October and then she maxed it. And that's all we told her. Said, you know enough maths to teach your professor. You can teach your professor. So don't worry about that. Just get your mind calm. And you know how to get your mind calm? You say, I'm doing it for someone, anyone. I'm doing it for my parent. I'm doing it for my teacher. Sometimes the teachers are so good that they are able to inspire the students. I'm doing it for my country, whatever. Then you get second wind and the mind is calm. Like again in that movie, this swimmers, this younger sister is finally chosen to go to the Olympics after so many obstacles. And her older sister, who's actually more mature than her, tells her, why do you want to win the Olympic gold? Just for yourself? For personal glory? Maybe money? Swim for our dad, who sacrificed so much so that we could go to safety. Swim for our country that's going through so much trouble and trauma. Swim for all the refugees of the world. And then you know what happens? She looks at it differently. She looks at the whole thing differently. And she gets energized, vitalized. You feel that within you. Suppose you're doing something only for yourself, maybe to earn money, name, fame, whatever. You don't feel that, you don't get that same energy or enthusiasm. But when you're doing it for someone else or something higher, by God, you get energy the likes of which you never thought you had. And you're so excited and enthusiastic about it. And the mind is calm. This is what we should learn. When the flame flickers, there's no light. Similarly, when the mind is agitated, you are of no use to anybody. You become a patient yourself. When the mind is calm, you are beneficial to others. A passing breeze disturbs the flame. Similarly, a passing passion can agitate your mind, can just take you off course. That is why they say, see, when a lamp has a glass case, it doesn't flicker even if there's wind outside. Similarly, your mind should have a protective covering. What is that protective covering? Can't be glass. No. It's like in the Ramayana, Lakshman drew the Lakshman Rekha, the famous Lakshman Rekha. So you should have a predetermined set of values that you will not violate under any circumstance. Because if you don't have that, you're at risk. So there are certain things in your mind you will say no straight away without consulting the intellect, because the intellect has already thought and placed certain norms for you. You only have placed the norms. So you follow that automatically. That protects your mind. Otherwise, the slightest temptation is enough to take you off course. Which is what is happening in the Western world. They have no such norms. All norms have been broken down. You can do anything, anytime, anywhere. Then you fall. And then you say, one little thing took me off course. It's like one drink, and the next thing you know, the guy is an alcoholic. One cigarette, your first cigarette, lung cancer. These are the things that happen. So spiritual disciplines protect you. These norms that we're talking about are spiritual disciplines. Steady flame always points upward. Have you seen a flame go down? Similarly, a calm mind always moves upwards. A disturbed flame is put out. A disturbed mind cannot act. The flame burns as long as the fuel is there. You know, if you have an oil lamp, when the oil is used up, the flame goes. Similarly, the mind is there as long as it is backed by vasanas. Vasanas are unmanifest desire. Once the desires go, mind goes. A wick is destroyed when the wax melts in a candle. When the wax melts, the wick automatically goes. Similarly, the ego, your personality dissolves when your vasanas go. So Patanjali speaks of two states of mind. One is the scattered state, which we are all experiencing. So your mind goes here, there, everywhere. The second is the gathered state, and that gathered state of mind is extremely powerful. Once your mind is at a state where it is with you, it will not budge till your intellect directs it elsewhere. So a well prepared mind in meditation will not shift until your own intellect says, okay, now stop. Such a mind is extremely powerful. That mind, whatever it thinks, it manifests. So the manifestation is the trend nowadays. And they've presented it in such a way that idly you think of something and it will happen. It will not. It has to be backed by the intensity of your mind. And it must necessarily be unselfish. You know, in Sydney once, Australia, we had gone there for lectures and we were just watching TV. There was this man from the Himalayas who had come there, and he declared that a truck can go over me and nothing will happen to me. So they actually did it on TV. Of course, they put mattresses on him, and a heavily loaded truck went over him. He just got up. He threw the mattresses and got up. And the interviewer asked him, where did you learn this? He said, from my guru in the Himalayas. So then they asked him to do it again. He couldn't do it. He lost his power. So he went running back to his guru. The guru said, listen, you cannot abuse this, you must use it. You used it for your name, fame and money, now you've lost it. So he said, how can I regain it? He said, drop your selfishness, then you'll get it. So yes, it happens, but the mind has to be like that. Pure mind, tranquil mind, like a steady flame. Tremendous power it has. Next verse.
Yatro paramate chittam niruddham yoga sevaya yatra chaivatmanatmanam pashyannatmani tushyati.
One rejoices in the self when seeing the self alone by the self. The mind, disciplined by the practice of yoga, is stilled. So he's talking about a mind that is inward looking. Now, as long as your mind is looking out and looking out for fulfillment in various objects of desire, it will be agitated, because you see, when you're riding on desires, the number of desires that are fulfilled will always be less than the number of desires you entertain. Because you're free to entertain any desire. The universe is not obliged to fulfill your desire. So you're left with this huge bank of unfulfilled desire which causes agitation. Oh, there is a volcano erupting within you all the time. So the moment you turn inward and upward, you you're inspired with a higher cause, whatever it be. Here he is giving the highest. Rejoices in the self. You know, when you fix a higher goal, you actually love it and you rejoice in it. Ask a musician, just loves music. The music does something to him. Ask any profession. I have the pleasure of having a retired Supreme Court judge as a friend, and I met her when she was a sitting judge in the Supreme Court. She gains pleasure in just her field. You know? A cricketer like Sachin Tendulkar was asked once, what are your finest moments? He said, when I'm out there in the sun at Shivaji Park practicing. Like that, you rejoice. And then you see the self alone by the, so your entire personality is consumed with that goal. You become one with that goal. The mind disciplined by the practice of yoga is still. Then your mind quietens. Why? Because you have transcended desire. Now when we talk about transcending desire, you think, what a horrible state to be. If you have no desire, what will you do? No, it's not that. You have a higher desire. And here he is talking about having only one desire. Desire for God, self-realization. Now we don't understand what that is because we don't even connect with it. We have no connection with it. But this desire for God, the feeling for God, the love for God is described in various rasas. They say there are 5 rasas. So when you start the spiritual journey, you look towards God as a protector and you are the protected. So it's called Dasya Bhav. You are the servant, God is the master. Then as you practice spirituality, you get closer. You become that Sakhya Bhav. Sakhya Bhav is you look upon God as a friend. So you're actually conversing with God, as it were. You know, there is that communion with God. Then comes more intense is the feeling that the mother has, Yashoda has for Krishna. Friend is like Sudama and Krishna. We're not talking about just, what is it called? Internet friends. What is it? Instagram friends. Not that. Sudama and Krishna were dear friends. There's that intensity of feeling where you, without saying anything, the other person understands. Have you experienced that? It's a wonderful feeling to have. And then comes Vatsalya Bhav, the mother, what Yashoda felt for Krishna. When the gopis went complaining to her about the mischief that Krishna played, she just had to take one look at him and his smile dissolved all her anger. You know, that gentleness that a mother feels towards the child. And then comes Madhurya Bhav, the intensity with which a lover yearns for union with the beloved. Don't look at me like that. You must have fallen in love. So there are people looking at me like that. So, what a wonderful feeling it is. No? And the last is when you reach your destination, when you achieve that union with God, is Shantarasa, the peace that you experience at the height of meditation. Oh, that is something that is unmatched. So when you put all these together, that is the intensity with which you're yearning for God. That's what he's talking about. We are very weak signals. Like Wi-Fi. You go to the United States, anywhere, it's all over. How did it all start? You remember? VSNL, cable connection. By the time you were connected, you were disconnected. It was so frustrating. So our thought of God is like that, occasional, once in a while. And by the time you think of God, something else comes and disturbs. Then it became broadband. So there was some element of constancy there, but even that was weak. Then it became, I don't know, whatever. Now it's Wi-Fi. But even Wi-Fi, you have to have a connection. Now you go to the US, all you need is a password, finished, you're connected. In a university, anywhere in the university go, you're connected. Right? A friend. That is what your connection to God should be. Wherever you go, whatever you're doing, whoever you're speaking to, your thought should be on the higher all the time. I don't know whether you even understand what I'm saying. That's why they compare it with lover to the beloved. When a person is madly in love, wherever she goes, whatever she does, she is only thinking of the beloved. That's the thing. Next verse.
सुखमात्यन्तिकं यत्तत् बुद्धिग्राह्यमतीन्द्रियम् वेत्ति यत्र न चैवायं स्थितश्चलति तत्त्वतः.
When one knows the infinite bliss which is beyond the senses, atindriyam, and which can be grasped by the intellect, established in it, one does not move away from reality. So now at this point he's describing the state just before realization. How do you know that? Because he says it is beyond the senses but can be grasped by the intellect. Then it's not realization. For you to become enlightened, there must be a complete merger with Atman, where there is no mind, no intellect. So mind has merged. So look at this, when one knows the infinite bliss, so the mind is almost there. Atindriyam, beyond the senses, means what he's saying is you can't see God, you can't hear God, you can't feel God, all of that is out. So anyone telling you, there are old ladies who go to sit in prayer in the prayer room and come out and say, I heard Krishna's footsteps. Straight take her to a psychiatrist. Because that is not possible. Beyond the senses. But which can be grasped by the intellect. So the intellect is still on the mantra that you are meditating. Established in it, one does not move away from reality. So he's giving the assurance, because getting there is not a joke. It's a lifetime, many lifetimes of intense effort will get you there. So the question arises, once I get there, what if I fall? There is no coming back. Throughout the Gita he says, Yad gatva nani vartante. Once you get there, there is no return. That's the assurance. One does not move away from reality. So when we're talking about the 6th chapter and he's speaking of meditation, every verse that you read, you must bring it down to your level and say, now here I am, how can I apply this? Because otherwise it's a poetry. How can I apply it? When you're focused on some work, when you're focused on a goal, you cannot allow anything to come in the way. So you can't say, like for instance, often it happens that, who was it? Roger Federer had said, One day before the Wimbledon final, he cannot go partying. It's obvious, right? But there are people like cricket team has gone partying one night before. Nadal, when he was playing in the Wimbledon, was invited by the Queen of England, Queen Elizabeth, to tea at Buckingham Palace. Now this is a great honor. How many people get an invitation from the Queen? You know what he did? He replied straight away, no thinking, saying, I'm very honored by this invitation, Your Majesty, but I have come here to play tennis. And if I come to tea, it will interfere with my practice. So, regretfully, he gave up. He said, I can't come. And you know what? He went on and won the Wimbledon title. So, these are the things we must put into practice. Yeah? And you must have your priorities straight. Like when I was maybe 50 years back, I used to attend weekly classes like you. In those days, it was Tuesday. And everyone around me knew that on Tuesday evening, I will not come anywhere, not even a wedding. After the class, I would go, but not during that time. And so there was a joke, there was a movie called If It's Tuesday, It Must Be Belgium. You remember that movie? No, a lovely movie. So they changed it to me and said, if it's Tuesday, it must be Bhagavad Gita class. Because everyone around me knew I wouldn't go. That kind of constancy you must have. I mean, don't take it to extremes. If a family member is in hospital, don't say, I have class. Not that way, but generally. Otherwise, you will say like, we had lectures in Kolkata. I have a wedding to attend. So, you know what I said? Weddings normally span over 4 days. So, the days of the lectures, you can come attend the lecture, you can go to the function, come attend the lecture and go right back to the wedding. Nobody will notice your absence. So why can't you do that? If you have that constancy, and that's what he's talking about. So if you bring that verse down to your level and say, see how you can practice it, it helps. Otherwise it's just talking in the air. And there must be that rejoicing. It must be an enjoyable experience. Unfortunately, nowadays, education is associated with trauma, boredom. The study of the Bhagavad Gita is not boring if you view it properly. Yes, we are talking about subtle subjects. Yes, there has to be that little effort. But it is so liberating. I don't know about you, but there are times when I come to the class tired before the class. But once the class gets over, by the time it's 7:45, I'm all full of beans, energized. That is what it does to you. If it doesn't do that to you, then there's something wrong with the attitude. Okay? We'll end now with a prayer.
पूर्णमिदं पूर्णात् पूर्णमुदच्यते